Good evening, everyone. As I mentioned a while ago, this is a course on trading software. So for the next weeks, what we're going to do is to focus on learning R and how it may be used to do trading uh, in relation to, let's say, technical trading rules in R. There are packages that we can use in order to learn about these things. As a caveat, as a disclaimer, this course this is not designed to make uh, to make trading gurus out of you. No, the objective of this course is for us to have a working knowledge of how we can use R and even Python towards the end to know how to use them in order to create trading strategies, even simple trading strategies. Okay, we're not going to compete with big microcomputers that generates sophisticated and very advanced simulation and codes that will allow, let's say, traders to really navigate through the markets, no? And generate profits. Okay, that's not our intention in this subject. At least have a taste of of how a software called R and Python can be used in order to create trading strategies. Okay, so that's the intent of this course. So may I ask you, who among you have already R in your computers, in your laptops? Can you please chat yes if you have R and R Studio installed in your laptop? Okay, sandali ah. Let me first. Okay. Okay, kindly chat yes or no, please. Okay. So yes pala lahat, no? So if you're not using R, why did you install R? Did you use this in another subject?
I think naging sa prof po namin kayo before, sir.
Ay, ako ba? Saan? Anong subject?
Ah,
Sino to?
Basic stats,
Sorry.
sir.
Ha?
statistics.
Basic
Fin?
statistics, sir.
Kaya
And
pala,
then
kaya pala.
also in
Familiar yung mga
multivar
names
po.
mo eh. Ano, no?
In
Saan?
multivar din.
Multivar? Hindi naman ako
Yung
nagturo
last
ng...
term. Nung
Kay
last
ano?
term po,
Sino
kay Sir
teacher mo sa
Datu.
multivar?
Sir
Si
Datu
Sir
po.
Nino, nag-R kayo sa multivariate
Yes.
statistics. Multivar.
Yes,
Okay.
but we use our commander po.
R commander. Okay, good. So, wait, matanong ko lang kayo sa multivar, ano yung mga diniscuss nyo? Cluster analysis, mga ganon?
Yes po,
Discriminant analysis? PCA.
discriminant, PCA,
Okay.
exploratory analysis,
PBA,
something like that,
oo.
sir.
Okay, but you use R commander.
Yes.
Okay, sige. Good, good. So dito naman kasi, R tayo, no? So some of you were my students in, I think, uh, basic statistics yata yun, ano? Or basta statistics, so we use R.
Yes po.
So that's good.
Yes.
That's good. Pero of course, medyo ibang level tayo nito Kasi doon, medyo regression yata tayo doon eh. Ito naman medyo trading tayo. But, okay, so since is installed in my computer at home. Okay, sige. It's okay, Giselle. All right. So anyway, I'll just go through how to install R. Very quickly lang kasi alam niyo naman pala to, no? Maybe for some of you hindi. So we go to CRAN, di ba? I'm sure you know CRAN already. So this is Comprehensive R Archive Network. All right. So if you go there, the first listing here will be the Comprehensive R Archive Network, and you click this one, you access this, and here you can now download and install R. So depending on the system that you have, operating system in your computer, whether you're using Linux or you're using a Mac laptop or computer or Windows, then you can download now your R through this. So the current version is 4.4.0. Hindi ko pa yata na-update yung version ko. So if you don't have this version, kindly update. Ako rin yata hindi ko pa na-update yung R ko. So paki-update na lang everyone yung version yun ng R kasi ito na yung latest. Okay, now we know how drab the interface of R is. Once you have installed R, ito yung lalabas, di ba? Ito, napaka-drab niya, no? Kaya when I say drab, parang yung utility niya hindi siya friendly, hindi siya napaka very, what's a good synonym for drab? Parang hindi siya masyadong useful, no? Okay? And parang hindi siya enticing gamitin din. Kasi ito yung script natin. Tapos the others are, in a sense, parang useless space siya. Unless you increase or maximize this. Pero still, hindi siya maganda, no? That's why there is this what we call IDE, no? Yung IDE, yung integrated, IDE stands for integrated development IDE environment. So this one, IDE allows us to make full use of R in such a way that the interface is more has more functions, is more useful for users of R. Okay, so yung version ko ng R 4.3.2 pa, no? So kailangan medyo i-upload ko to, i-update. Okay, so we're not going to make use of R, the GUI of R, the graphic user interface, kasi hindi siya maganda, no? So ang gagamitin natin is an IDE called, okay, yung RStudio. So asan yung RStudio natin? Okay, you can Google POSIT. Okay, POSIT is the new name for RStudio. Okay, so if you click POSIT, then lalabas dito, okay, si Merriam-Webster naman. Ayan, okay? POSIT, the open source data science company. So POSIT Cloud. So let me click this. Turn data into data science into business results. So here you are. Andito na si, okay, andito upper right, you have download RStudio. Okay? Any one of you using RStudio, paki-chat nga please so that I know. Are you using RStudio sa mga computers nyo? Kindly chat yes please. Okay. So si Alvin yes. Lazit yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Good. All right. Good. So ano na pala, medyo well-versed na rin pala kayo sa RStudio. All right. Now, again, may I know if you're using these files, either RMD, which of these do you use, RMD or QMD? Okay, pakitype nga, which one of those are you using, RMD or QMD file extension? RMD, RMD, okay, RMD, okay, RMD. All right, so mostly RMD. Okay, but we can of course use QMD kasi ito na siya na yung mas sabihin natin mas updated at saka mas madaling gamitin. Okay, si Richard naman R script, no? .r. All right. So once you have loaded RStudio in your machine, in your laptop, so isasarado ko muna to. Okay. Wait, huh? So let me just save this file, save ko muna to kasi we're going to make use of this. Sa desktop, I just make use of just 0 and then MCF320M. This is May 8. Save. All right, then I'll just close this first. Save na lang din. 1 na lang. Save. Okay. All right. So I closed the RStudio that I opened. So when you open RStudio, okay. Okay. So the difference between our the R software and RStudio is that syempre mas maganda yung interface ni RStudio. Okay? Mas marami kang magagawa, okay, as compared to the R GUI, no? All right? So you might notice that we might have different interfaces. So just to quickly let's see, quickly tell you how if you know already how to change your interface like this, then good. Then for those of you who don't know yet, I'll just quickly inform you how to do it. So apat yung window panes natin dito, no? You have in this case, andito environment, andito yung console, andito si files, plots, and packages. There are actually 4 windows here. If I click this one, may isang window pa dito yung script or source window. That one, there. So you have here four windows. Here is your script or source window, environment, console, and your files, plots, and packages. Now, perhaps in your case, yung environment window nyo andi dito sa upper right. Personally, I prefer the console to be here. Kasi yung console is where the codes are replicated and then the answers are printed. So dito print yung yung answer ng codes natin dito, whether it's an R script or an R markdown or a QMD. Okay? So andi dito din yung answer. So sometimes I feel, especially kung mahaba na yung codes ko, no? And then I have here the environment. Sometimes it can really occupy a lot of space itong script window ko. So hindi ko na makikita yung answer. So I would rather put the console side by side with my script or source window. And the way to go about that is just go to tools here, yung tab natin dito na tools, and then we have here global options, and you can see here the first dito sa tenga dito sa ear dito you have general, and our version that I'm having is 4.3.2. Okay, I need to update this later. And then here are several options, and what I'm telling you is yung pane layout, this one. If you click this pane layout, then you can easily change. There are other ways to do this, no? This is just one way. You can if you're using RStudio for the first time, this will be the default. Source window on the upper left, console on the lower left, and then environment upper right, and then files, plots, and packages on the bottom right. All right, if I want the console to be here, I just click this one. Click this one and then console there, and automatically whatever was placed here initially would change with the console. All right, so this is the arrangement that I prefer. Of course, it's up to you. It's up to you how you want your RStudio interface to look like. Okay, so I'll click OK. Oh, sorry, I forgot. How about the for the color? I prefer this one, this layout. This is cobalt, because it's less straining on the eyes. Okay, let me go again to tools, global options. And then we have appearance here. Appearance, okay. Now we have the option for the appearance to the default is Chrome. So this is what you will get when you first install RStudio, and then when you open it. Okay, so you have this, you'll have this. For me, it's quite, the contrast is not that strong. So I would rather want to have a bit of a contrast to have less strain on my eyes. But once again, this should be your personal preference. So for me, I prefer the Cobalt one, the Cobalt setting, appearance, and then here, Cobalt. Okay? All right. Okay, so question again. Who among you make use of projects? Okay, when you do R projects, when you work on R files. Kindly chat yes, please. Yes, if you make use of projects or no. Just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Richard, Alvin, Mark, thank you. Okay, Ferdinand, okay. Okay, good, good. So this is an opportunity for us to to learn something new. Okay, what are our projects? Okay, well, basically our project is let's say, it's a data or file management system that you can use with R. Okay, usually before, this is what I would do. I would open R Studio, create a file, an R Markdown, an R script, and then I'm going to save it in save that work in a folder, any folder which I create. Okay, so what happens is that while working, okay, while working on a particular R file, sometimes the power gets disconnected, and R closes, R Studio closes, and I totally lose the file that I'm working on. And sometimes there was one time that I had already uh, more than 1,000 lines of code, and then suddenly there was power outage, and then boom, I lost everything. I cried at that time kasi grabe yung sacrifice na ginawa ko, tapos mawawala lang because of that, no? So from that time on, I made sure that I use R project, so that when I'm working on a particular uh, R R file, I make sure that I'm in that project, so that if something happens, automatically masisave pa rin yan, no? I can still access that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's first. Okay, so in this subject, there are some topics that we're going to look into, and and perhaps the first one is ito, introduction, no? Introduction to R and R Studio. Siguro ganyan muna gawin natin. Or let's make it data and data structures. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first. Introduction to data and data structures. But the best way to do it is not just to create an R file and then save it anywhere. Mas maganda kung if we're going to manage, okay, manage our filing system ng mga R projects natin, ng mga R files natin, so that it's very easy for us to access the files that we have been working on. Okay? So the end goal in mind, ang gawin natin is to create a folder, and that folder is gawin natin ano, yung subject folder natin, MCF320M. Of course, you may name it any way you want. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a folder, and that folder is MCF320M. And inside that folder, going to create folders. I'm going to create projects that pertain to particular topics of our subject. So how do we do that? Okay, if your R is open, so here you start file, here, file, and then you can see here what are the options. New file. Okay, so pwedeng yung new file natin, pwedeng R script, Quarto document. Okay, new file, pwedeng R script, Quarto document, Quarto presentation, okay, notebook, markdown. You can create a web, okay, out of R Studio. Okay, we're not going to create a new file now. First, we're going to create file, new project. Okay, so let's create this new project. All right. So I'm creating a new project, and then create a project by creating a new directory first. So let's create a new directory. new directory, then in that is a new project. You can see here, you can create an R package or a Shiny application, which is a web application, or you can do a Quarto project, Quarto website, blog, or even a book. Okay, so let's just create a project, new project. Okay, so the directory name, anong directory name ang ilalagay natin? So let's say ang unang project na gagamitin natin yung introduction to data and data structures. Maybe for most of you, this is already something that you know, but it pays to review them. Okay? And then, saan natin ilalagay itong project na to? Yung introduction to data and data structures. Okay, I'm going to create this project as a subdirectory of. So, doon ko siya ilalagay sa isang folder na yung subject natin. So, browse ko. I'm just going to put it in my desktop. Okay. So new, I'm going to create this folder. Okay, so let me just use MCF320M. Okay, let me put one dash here so that I can easily access it. Okay, so it's up to you how you'll name your main folder. Okay, so here I'm going to click this. Okay, so I was being asked, what was the subdirectory? It will be under what subdirectory? So the introduction to data and data structures, I'm going to put it under this folder, MCF320. Okay, so I have this highlighted, and then I'll open this now. Okay, so we're telling RStudio to create a new project, and the title of the project is Introduction to Data and Data Structures. And this project will be under this subdirectory, this folder, MCF320M. Okay. All right. Then I ask R to open in a new session. Okay. And then create the project. For some, what they do is create a Git repository. So a Git repository is just like a storage in the web where you can put your projects also. So that's a Git repository. Okay, I'm going to create here where I'm saving it. I'm creating it inside my computer. Create project. And you see what happens here? It will create a new project, and that project has a name. And the name of that project is this one. See? Okay, so if you're following, you will have this now. It opened a new instance of our project, and the name of the project is Introduction to Data and Data Structures. Okay, and you can also see it here. Introduction to Data and Data Structures. And under the files, plots, packages, I now have this, okay, this file, Introduction to Data and Data Structures.rproj. It's an R project. So the advantage of creating a project and then saving your files, R files in that project is manifold. Ang daming advantage, class, if we're going to do that. Sorry. One is what I mentioned a while ago. In the event of power outage or something happens to your laptop or your computer, whatever you were doing, even if you were not able to save it, must save yun. And you will be spared of heartaches because you failed to save a particular project. Okay, let me pause for a while. And may I ask your feedback, please? Are you able to follow? Okay, I'm afraid because we have a mixed crowd here. So some of you are quite knowledgeable with R already. You were my former students. Some of you are not familiar with R. So I will have to strike the a balance. So for those of you who are knowledgeable about this, I hope you will bear with us. I hope you will understand that I cannot just assume that everybody knows this. So I cannot just rush to end this discussion. Okay. All right. Any feedback, please, so far? Any chat? You were able to follow along? Yes, in a sense. This is familiar to set working directory. Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. Thank you, Richard. How about the others? Mark, thank you. Okay, any questions so far? Any clarifications? Okay, Shari, thank you. Okay, good. Ferdinand, thank you. All right. So please bear with me, class. The next lessons will be really more yun na, doon na tayo sa main ano. This first session was really designed or dedicated to put us in equal footing, especially with those of you who haven't used R or R Studio. In fact, I'm afraid that I might be going too fast, no? So for those of you who already know this, okay, again, please bear with us kasi hindi naman pwedeng iwan na lang natin yung mga classmates natin. Okay, so if I go here, okay, if I go to, not downloads, if I go to my desktop where I saved my, where I created a folder to put my projects, asa na siya? Ito, sorry, MCF. So it's here. Was it this one? MCF, di yata to.
Yung may 1 dash, sir.
1 dash, o nga pala, no? Yeah, thank you. Nakalimutan ko kagad. Ay, ito, yeah, thank you. So if I open this, this is the folder that I created my projects, no? My project, isa pala yung project ko. Let me see my chat dito. And thank you, Giselle, yeah. So if I click this, there you go. And you notice that inside this folder is another folder, which is Introduction to Data and Data Structures. This is the directory that we created for our project. And inside this one, there you go. We have this our project, no? This one. All right. So now, whenever, if you're going to create, let's create let's say a new R project. Okay, punta ulit tayo dito sa R. Let's go to R Studio. Okay, here or here, anywhere here. I have two new instances of an R R Studio open. So this one is okay. Wala siyang project na create ko. Ito naman yung my project. Okay. So nothing here yet. So let's do this. If I'm going to open a new R script, just to have a quick review, class. So this one, ito yung R script, no? And the shortcut is Control-Shift-N. So if I press Control-Shift-N, or in Mac yata, it's Command-Shift-N. So I now have a file here, untitled one. So this is an R script. Okay, how do I know it's an R script? Because you can see here, it's blank here, dun sa script window natin. And let me distinguish that from an RMD file. If I click this one and open an R Markdown, there's a world of difference between an R script and an R Markdown. If I click this, you can see now that there's this dialog box that appears, and it asks me, am I going to create a document, okay, or a presentation? Oops, this means that you can create a quote-unquote PowerPoint presentation in R. Of course, it's not a PowerPoint per se, but it's like a slide presentation that you can you can present, and then you can, of course, move forward as if it's a PowerPoint slide. But the advantage, as far as this is concerned, is that you can have your codes inside your presentation. And you can run the code. and then it can generate results. That cannot be done with PowerPoint. No? So PowerPoint, perhaps you have a particular particular statistical, let's say statistical formula that you have pasted there, and then you want the results to be generated. Of course, you cannot do that in PowerPoint. Okay, you're running a regression, and then you want the regression output to be generated in PowerPoint. You'll have to copy that from a software that run the regression, and then paste it in PowerPoint. In R, no. You can create a presentation that acts as a slide, and then inside that slide is a code, and that code you can run, and that presentation will generate the result of that code. That's very fantastic. Or R, you can use R to create a website here, R Shiny. Okay, or from a template, you can use a template for creating a dissertation or thesis, or from creating a Tufte-like Tufte-like presentation, a paper. Now, may I ask you, who among you who have been using R for maybe years have created a case study or a report or a thesis, perhaps, using R? Could you kindly chat yes or no, please? Okay, kahit ano na lang, kahit let's say a report in your one of your MCF in your one of your master's subject. Have you used R to create a report? A report, let's say an output that you were required to do so. So how about the others? Have you done that using R? Shiny. So para ano naman to, iba naman. Sino yung nag-Shiny? Who was this? Okay. So Shari. Okay, so si Shari is familiar with Shiny. Okay, Shiny is a package that's used to create website. Okay, saan mo ginamit, Shari, yung website na generate mo from Shiny?
Sir, sa previous work ko po.
Sa previous work mo. Okay, very good. Okay, so si Giselle naman, in what instance did you use R to create an output where you
Sir,
have
term
sorry?
paper po sa isang subject.
Term paper. So ginamit mo si R.
Yes po.
Okay, so gumamit ka ginamit mo si R para i-generate yung bibliography. Okay, appendix, did you use that also? O wala namang ganun?
Wala, sir. Yung
Table of contents ginamit mo.
I cannot remember. Parang first term po
Okay.
kasi siya.
All right. So so perhaps not, no, kasi pag ginamit mo yung table of contents dito sa you'll be amazed kasi pwede yung table of contents yan floating. So ibig sabihin, when you render your document, pwede nasa side yung table of contents, tapos you can just click through it. Magko-color coding yun eh. So that's very interesting. So in this subject, you'll be required to do that, no? Yung let's say may term paper kayo or my case, sorry, sorry, medyo yung throat ko. So, yung sinabi naman ni Richard, this is rendering naman. So, sige, magbigay tayo ng example ng rendering quickly for those of you, pero siguro alam niyo na yung rendering, no? But, as I said, here, you can create create a thesis. You can, in fact, may nakita akong gumagamit na ng kwarto, no, to create a dissertation. Okay, not only a thesis but a dissertation. Okay, so this is something that you can think of when you do your perhaps your thesis. If you're going to do a thesis in the future, pwede nyo gamitin tong R for your thesis. All right, good. So dito, okay, so anyway, we're doing this for the benefit of those who haven't used R. Okay, so ang title natin, for example, I'll just call it Trial 1. Just call the title of this document Trial 1. And this is an R script. How do I know? Ano na pala to, no? R Markdown na. How do I know this is an R Markdown? Pag ganito na yung interface, no? New R Markdown. So humingi ng title, author. And ito naman, if I unclick this, lalabas yung date ngayon, automatic. And what's the difference if I do this, if I click this? If I click this, grayed out na to, no? Hindi mo na siya mababago. Kasi naging formula na yan. So this became a variable date. This will change automatically when you render.
Render.
Yeah, correct. When you render the document, magbabago to, no? On the date that you render the document. Okay, so you can create a default output, HTML, PDF, or Word, no? You can do that. So in the meantime, let's just create an HTML. Okay, so if I click OK, okay, so we now have here our RMD file. And you notice that these documents do not appear here yet, no? Wala pa siya dito sa project natin kasi hindi pa natin sinasave. Okay, before we go to the RMD, let's go here to the R script muna, no? So dito sa R script na to, pwede kang mag-create ng code. For example, let's create exponential of 34, okay, times the log of 1,000, okay, whatever, divided by tangent, nag-iimbento na lang ako, 60 times, okay, times, ano ba, what else? Yun na lang, no? Ano pa? Wala akong maisip. Ang dami-daming function, sorry. Medyo na ano ako. Okay, this as an example. So what happens when you press enter? Pag nag-enter ako sa R script, okay, enter, ano nangyari? Ano nangyari? Hindi generate yung, sabi ko kanina, class, when I said a while ago, when you're in the R script, and when you run this code, this will be, yung function na to, yung code na to, will be replicated here in the console, and the result will be generated. Now, hindi siya nag-run kasi, okay, you don't press just enter. You press either Control-Shift-Enter or Control-Enter. Or you can click this. So if I click this, run, okay, yan. Notice na replicate yung ano, yung function, no? And then in-output yung answer. Okay, if I go back here again, if I go back here and then Control-Enter, notice replicate, no? So the way to run a code in an R script is Control-Enter or Control-Shift-Enter or run. And then it will generate the answer here. Now, if I use a function called plot, and there are many data sets that come pre-packaged with R. Ibig sabihin nun, you can access this data without importing it from an outside source. Okay, for example, yung data na pressure. This contains two variables to. So if I plot this, once again, Control-Enter or run this, Control-Enter. So plot, so ipapakita dito sa plots window yung plot ng object na pressure. Okay? Pressure on the y-axis and temperature on the x-axis, and this is the plot. The disadvantage of an R script is that the results are not shown here in the script. So much so that, and you cannot render this. Hindi mo siya ma-print into an HTML or, so ang gagawin mo dito, if you want this to be processed as a file, ikakopy mo yung code, tapos ikakopy mo yung result. Kunyari, ikakopy mo paste sa Word. Tapos iisa-isa mo yung pag-copy paste ng ano ng result, which is very cumbersome. Okay? So hindi siya magandang gamitin for generating reports, no? Or you can use the summary, and then there's also this data called cars, pre-packaged din yan. And if we do the summary, it will give us the 6-number summary. Okay, it will give us the minimum, the first quartile, the second quartile, the third quartile, and the maximum. Okay, so apparently there are two variables here, speed, tsaka distance. Okay, so generate yung number summaries niya. Okay, so if I'm going to save this, dali lang class. Let me just get water, sorry. I-pause ko lang sandali yung recording. I'm sorry about this. So this portion of your markdown is called a code chunk. Okay, and a code chunk is where you're supposed to write your code. Because if I write something here, for example, 3 plus 2, I put there 3 plus 2. Now, the question is, will this run? Of course, if I press enter, okay, notice that it did not even get reflected in the in the console. It's a script. If we run this, but if enter, hindi siya ma-reflect nito. Pero pag control enter, ma-reflect siya dito. How about this one? 3 plus 2, control enter, what happened? Okay. Sabi, nag-error siya. Error. Nag-error siya, dito, nag-space lang ako dito. Control enter. Okay, nag-run siya dito, no? Sorry about that. Nag-run siya dito sa console, pero not in the script window. So it became, parang naging ano lang siya, parang naging script window lang siya ito. And that's not what we want kasi we're using an R markdown so that whatever output we get will be reflected, will be printed in our script window so that when we render this, lalabas yung output. Okay, so going back to what we were discussing. Okay, so that's the importance of a code chunk in an RMP5, R markdown. So all the codes have to be placed here, and of course it's quite tedious to write backticks, and then curly brackets, and then R. I'll discuss setup of mamaya, and then enter, and then backticks. So that's your code chunk. You can write your code here. So there's a shortcut to generating your code chunk. Okay, take note. Please. So what did I press? Here. What did I press? I didn't press the backticks 3 times and then
I.
brackets. Yes.
Control Alt I.
Yeah, correct. Thank you. It's Control Alt I. Okay, so if you press in Mac, please correct me. Is it Command Alt I? For Mac users, any Mac users here? Kindly chat, please, if you're a Mac user so that I know. I'm aware there are Mac users kasi medyo iba yung yung sa Mac at saka sa Windows. No? Okay, no Mac users. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's how we quickly Control Alt I, no? Control plus Alt plus the letter I. Plus I. Okay, so that's a keyboard shortcut for your code chunk. Okay, so going back here, above the first code chunk had a name. No? Ang pangalan niya, setup. The second code chunk here has a name, cars. And the third code chunk has a name, pressure. And also take note, there's a parameter here, echo is equal to false. So you can put more codes or more instructions in your code chunk. And RStudio or R will know how to deal with that. Okay, so what's the purpose of these names here? They're actually indices. Okay, or name index. So if I go here at the bottom here, you can see here that there's there's a chunk here. And if I click this one, you notice something about this one? Okay, it contains the outline and the code chunk. Okay, so what's the advantage of this one is code chunk 1 setup. The second chunk number 5 is cars, and chunk number 6 is pressure. Now you can see that chunk 2, 3, 4, the one that I created a while ago, does not have any name. Okay. Now the disadvantage of doing a code chunk like that is that if you have already so many code chunks, and then you would like to find out what a particular code chunk is, especially if you're giving it names that are really easy to remember or efficient, then you'll be able to find the code chunk because it will be indexed here, below here, at this junction here. Okay, so if you didn't give it a name, it will be very difficult for you to know what these code chunks are. But if you gave it a name, for example, here, chunk 6, pressure, if I click this, then it will bring me to this specific code chunk. So giving names to your code chunk is a very good practice, so that if you will review your work later on, you need to edit a particular code, then you'll be able to access it immediately, especially if you have already a very tall R script or R background file. You're running into thousands of codes already. Wow, that would be a nightmare to scroll down to a particular code chunk. You can use, of course, Control F also. R has a function like that. But anyway, if I click this chunk 2, then it returned to chunk 2, which didn't have a name. Okay. So this was the code that we ran a while ago in the R script. So how do you run code chunk? Either you click this, which is run current chunk, or you can go here, run, and here the run button will give us different options. You can run a selected line, you can run the current chunk, you can run the next chunk. So if I'm here, and if I click this, it will run the next chunk. Okay. All right. So several other things. Run all chunks above or run all chunks below. Just like a keyboard shortcut there. Okay. Now, lastly, here sabi dito echo is equal to false. What does that mean? Echo is equal to false parameter was added to the code chunk to prevent printing of the R code that generated the plot. All right. So echo is equal to false will stop printing this code, but will print also the whatever result of the code here is. Okay, so if I run this, okay, so now we have the plot inside our R markdown, or R script. Okay. All right. So then let me just illustrate in rendering this one. So when you render, use this knit function, click. So either you use knit to HTML, knit to PDF, knit to Word. I just make use of the HTML here. All right, then it will ask for us the name, the file name that you want to give to your to your RMD, because we're being asked to save the RMD, and also your same thing with your HTML output. I'll just call it RMD1. Okay, and if I save this, what happened to my files here? Okay, and notice it's now rendering here. Okay, so now it has rendered, and automatically in the viewer section, it gives us that output. Okay, so this is the output, or let's take a look at our files now. Files. Okay, take a look at this. This was the script 1R that we generated a while ago. This is now the RMD, this one. And we also have included an RMD1, however, an HTML file, because we rendered it to an HTML. So if I go to our folder here, okay, so you now have this one, the RMD, and it's an RMD file. As you can see, this one is an R project file. Okay, this is the R script file. This is the HTML file. So if I click this HTML, okay, it now prints in the net. So you can copy this and save it and or send it to others so that they can have access to this output. Okay, as you can see, but a while ago I said that that specific code, yung include is equal to false, it did not appear here. Hindi lumabas yung code itself, neither did the output. Neither did the output was generated. Okay, ito naman, yung echo is equal to false, it did not include the code, but it generated the output. Okay? All right, so okay. Okay, so I think let's have a would you want to have a break, class? Okay, sige, let's have a 10 to 15 minute break. By my watch, it's 7:40, 41. So let's resume at 7:56. Is that okay? Okay, good. Kasi ang hirap din kaya mag-digest. Okay, so let's have our 15-minute break na lang. So 7:42 plus 15. Sige, gawin na natin let's dagdag na muna since introduction pa lang naman tayo ngayon. So let's just come back at 8 o'clock. So 18-minute break. Okay? Sige, let's do that. I'll pause recording muna. Please remind me later on to continue recording. We can see here that the R Markdown is a very good, I consider it as an editing tool also to use in order to generate your reports. So because in this subject you're going to have one of the requirements is to have a review of related literature about let's say algorithmic trading, about trading software, and you're required to use R itself in generating your output for your RevLit. There are other documents that we can use. If I click this, so we have Quarto and Quarto presentation. So Quarto document and Quarto presentation are one of the say newest. It's newer than R Markdown. It's an improvement of R Markdown, this Quarto document. So let me just okay, I think I can just share with you. So this is not here. Let me share with you. For example, this one. So if you notice, this is a QMD file. It's not an RMD file, it's a QMD file. Okay, this is this is a presentation. Let me just see if this is a presentation. If what I used was, I think what I did here was a presentation. Okay, so you can see the difference between an RMD and a QMD. Actually, not so much difference now because what they did was after they developed QMD, they also improved the RMD, the R markdown. This is quarto markdown in such a way that they improve the R markdown in such a way that it's just like now the quarto. So the distinct advantage of a quarto document compared to a R markdown seem to be seem to have diminished because what quarto can do, R markdown now can do. So if you take a look at this one, but not all, okay? If you take a look at this one, this is a quarto document. I know it, we can know it because it's a QMD. And you can see the interface of this one. It's very different from an RMD. Okay? Yung RMD walang ganito, di ba? It doesn't have this one. Okay? So you can see here that in this document that I created, okay, I can easily insert an image. I can easily insert a picture. You can do this in an R markdown, but you'll have to code. You'll have to create a code for it. This one is very easy because you'll just insert here. Insert. So you can insert a YAML block, table, okay, a code block, okay, etc. So these are the things that you can do here. Okay, and the format is reveal.js. This is for presentations. And just to illustrate this, if I render this, okay, so it's running here, it's rendering here. Okay, and then just like a while ago, when we knitted it, it generates a subviewer, no? It generated a knitted HTML here. It gives a presentation because this is a presentation. So let me see. Let me just show it how this presentation looks like. Present, naka-shade, naka-grayed out. Okay, let me just go back to the file itself. Yung kanina, no? This one. So when I rendered this, it also generated an HTML document for this course outline. And if I click this, there you go. So I'm arrow down. So it's just like a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so my picture din sa I was able to insert a picture. Okay, so this is for one of my undergrads subject, financial analytics. Okay, and I just wanted to illustrate that you can create a presentation. You can use a presentation for RMD, but I prefer using a presentation for a quarto because quarto is really very powerful as far as presentation or even documents is concerned. Ito may added na ano na na tabs na dito sa sa interface niya. And you can toggle between the visual and the source. Change source. No? And yung visual Okay, all right. So let's go back to our what we were discussing. No, not this. So while you were during the break, what I did was to, okay, take a look at this. All right. During the break, in our folder, I loaded an RMD file. And that RMD file is called data and data structures. So now in my project, I have this. This is the R project. That R project. This is responsible for managing the files that we have here. Okay, we have the script1.r, and these are the two that we rendered. It gave us an RMD file and an HTML file. And this one I just saved in the R project. So let me open this. If I click this, it will open here. There. All right. So let's quickly discuss data and data structures. Okay. So whatever whatever we finish here, I will request you yung parts na hindi natin na finish for you to try on your own, so that next meeting we will go to the our main lesson, because this is partly just introduction to the use of R and R Studio. So this is what I was mentioning to you a while ago. In the YAML, you can modify this to include the bibliography, to edit the body, include this one, very basic lang naman to, the TOC, true. And then since in this file, you can see the outline, okay. Okay, why don't I render this, no? Kasi ito may TOC flat and then true. Let me just illustrate, no, what this will do. So if I need this, okay, may option tayo dito. Okay, I'll need it to TOC. Okay, nagka-problema ako. May problem sa YAML ko. Nag-execution halted siya. Okay, anyway, I'll still have to review this, no? Tagal ko na hindi na ano to eh. Nagawa, no? Okay. So my intent here is just for us to discuss data and data structures quickly. Okay, so may I request you to open an R Markdown, because in some of the discussions here, I'm going to copy and put it in the chat box so that you're able to have those notes also. But some of the notes here, you have to write on your own as you follow along. So it's very important for us that we understand how R treats data and data structures. Okay. So these are just some notes about how R Markdown works. Okay. May I check if I'm still, if you can still hear me? I think I heard a sound here. Am I still audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Excuse me, sandali ah. Apologies class, no? Yung throat ko medyo ano. Okay, so let me go to the lesson proper here about data and data structures. Okay. Now, when you talk about data, the first thing that we'd like to learn is what are the different data classes or data types. Okay, so we can see here a data may be numeric, so you know this very well. Okay, it can be decimal, a real number, or decimal, or it can be called as double, or it can be an integer. In R, an integer is written as a number plus L. Okay, 2L. Okay, so when you see 2L, it means that this is an integer. Okay, so it can be a character, and a character is denoted by quotes, and then whatever is in between the quotes. Okay, it can be a number. Okay, for example, if I put quotes here and then 100, this will be treated as a character, even if what's between the quotes is a number. So very specific yung pagregard sa character, no? May quotes, tapos whether it's text or a number, this is a character. Now, yung logical takes a special place in R. Okay, you either type true or false, or true can be written as T. Okay, siya naman false. Notice how it's the color is a bit red. Big sabihin, special character yan, or F. But if I type small letter F, small letter FALS, notice that it's white. So it's not regarded as a logical value. Okay, or if it's a small letter F, there, hindi siya, no? Unlike ito kanina, capital F, and it's it has a it's colored immediately, which means that this is treated as a logical value. Okay, then we have also a complex number. Complex number it's just a combination of a real number and imaginary number. Then also dates, say some date, we're going to make use of this in this subject. So we will have a special session making use of or learning objects of dates in R, like XTS objects or zoo objects, no? That will come in the future. Okay, so far I hope it's clear that data data classes can data can either be numeric, integer, character, logical, or complex, or date. Okay. Any questions so far, class? I'm going through this very quickly because I know that this is not something new. You have learned this in your stat subject or even in your undergrad subjects, no? So no point in discussing that in detail. All right. Now in R, when we create objects, for example, we may denote a value and give it a name. Here, you can see here that the number 1 is assigned a letter, and that letter is A. So the name of the object is A. And what is contained in A? It is number 1. Okay, and notice what is used in R. Actually, it can be A is equal to 1. So this tells us that this object A has a particular element or value in it, and the value is 1. Okay. However, in most cases, it's better to use this. Okay, that less than and then that minus. Okay, and there's a special name for that. Does anybody know what's the special name for this? Anyone? Could you kindly chat? What is the special name for this less than and then minus? Anyone? Okay, so it's called maybe you just forgot, it's called an assignment operator. Okay, assignment operator. And this is the preferred use. It's preferred to be using this as compared to equal to. And the reason will become apparent in the future when we have a code which makes use of an assignment operator and an equal to. So it will become problematic if we use equal to here, and in the other part of the code there's another equal to. Okay, so that can be problematic. So this less than and then dash is what we call an assignment operator, and this indicates that this one, okay, is represented by this object called A. So that, for example, if I run this, again, how do I run this? Control Enter, just to run this specific code chunk, line of code. Control Enter. Okay, let me show this first. Now, under our environment window, there are no objects here. Okay, there are no objects here. And here, if I'm creating this object called A, which has one inside it, and if I run it, Control Enter, now what happened? You now have here in your environment values. Okay, values which refer to this object called A has a value inside it called 1. So na-create na siya, no? So if I print, for example, if I write A here, okay, small a, and then Control Enter, what happens? What happened when I ran that? Let me just clean this. Okay. I'm having problems with the mouse. Let me find okay. Yan, ito pala. I wasn't in the console, that's why I didn't see this. So I typed A in the code chunk, right? And then it generated this one because A has a has a value inside it and it's 1. Okay, so if you want to print immediately what's inside a particular object that you're naming, for example, this one, A is being assigned 1. You can put parentheses inside it and then Control Enter, and then automatically it will print. If you want to print immediately the value of the object and not have to type the name of the object, then you put it in parentheses. And then let's check the class of A. What's the class of A? The class of A is numeric, okay, because it has the element equal to 1. So A is numeric, or you can also use this function type of, okay, and type of is double. So which means that numeric, a value that can take on a decimal place, and double are similar. Okay, for this one, I'm creating this object called B, and then we're assigning the value 3L to it. If you recall, what's 3L? L stands for an integer. Okay, so if I run this, Control Enter B, B assigned to it is 3L, then you can see here that this is the code and this is the output. Okay, it will print the output because we place the code in parentheses here. And if I get the class of B, it will tell us that it's an integer. Okay, let me pause for a while. Am I going too fast? Or okay lang tayo kasi this is I don't want to be bothering with maybe very basic, unless you have any questions. Are we clear so far, class? Okay, how about the others? Okay, thank you. Thank you. How about our ladies? Ayan, Cara, thank you. Yung iba? Okay, good. Thank you. I hope I'm not boring you. I'm afraid that this introductory part might be too rudimentary or too elementary for you. But this is just to get us going, okay? This is just to get us going, and especially for those who haven't used R, no? Okay? I'm afraid that that's what I'm afraid of, kasi baka sabihin nila masyadong mabilis yung ano natin, yung discussion natin. Okay, now let's go to data structure again. And this will be a quick discussion. What I'm going to do is, for those of you who are not really that familiar with this yet, I'm going to upload a video that I have created before about data and data structures for you to watch, so that next meeting we don't really have to discuss this introductory part, but go to the lesson proper already. Okay, so when we talk of data structure, we either talk of vectors, lists, matrices, arrays, factors, data frames, etc. It's important that we know these terms, because I'm going to make use of this term, these terms, the whole term. So it's important that you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, the most basic data structure is a vector. Yan. So what's a vector? A vector is a basic atomic siya, no? Atomic siya because it only has one data type. So for example, you have an object equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so pare-pareho siya, no? Pare-pareho na numeric. That object A is called a vector. It has only one data type. If you have letter Z is equal to A, B, C, D, E, so they're all characters, then the object Z is a vector. So any object in R that contains only one data type is called a vector. Okay, suppose I created this object C, okay, and C is equal to 7. So what type of data structure is C? C is a vector, right? Because even if it has only one element there, okay, obviously kung isa lang siya, isang data type lang yan. So this is still a vector. So this one, C is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 7. This is also a vector. It contains all numeric. And how about E is equal to, you have A, B, D. Okay. So E contains A, B, D. So this is a vector. F is equal to true, true, false, false, true. That's a vector because it contains all logical values. Okay, so it contains elements of the same type. So lahat logical, lahat integer, lahat double, lahat character, lahat complex, or lahat raw data. Okay, so that's a vector. So here are some examples. So I have here an object called A1, and A1 contains 5. So this is a vector. Isa lang siya, pero vector yan. Kasi siyempre, pag isa lang, as I said, there will only be one data type. Okay? Now here, I'm creating this object called nums. Okay, nums, and then I'm assigning it, C means combine, okay? C, and then 1.1, 3, negative 5.7. So if I print this, Control Enter, I go to this end of the line, and notice there are parentheses here, which means it will print it. It will print the answer. Control Enter. There. Okay. So what's inside nums? It's 1.1, 3, and negative 5.7. Okay. And what's the class of nums? The class function will tell us, well, as the name suggests, anong class ng object to. Enter. So it's numeric, as we expect, because this is numeric. This is a numeric vector. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? So far, are we okay? Please don't be ashamed to ask questions. Questions so far? Okay, no questions? Okay, thank you. All right. So, okay, may tanong, answer. Thank you. Thank you, Mariel. Okay. Now we can generate random numbers using R. Okay, anybody has used the set.seed? Kindly chat, please. Have you used that set.seed function in R? Okay. Gamit na ni Alvin. Okay, how about the others? Richard also? No, thank you, Fergie. No, thank you, Giselle. Okay. Thank you for your honesty. I really appreciate that. Okay. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. I would suggest, I'm not going to share this code with you. I would suggest, as a practice, i-type nyo, no? I-type nyo. Para you get the feel, you get the, if you have not been using R for some time, para medyo ma-feel nyo ulit yung paggamit ng R. Okay. Set that seed. There are some functions in R that we can use in order to generate random numbers. Now, so that we generate the same random numbers, we use this function set.seed. If we don't use this, okay, let me delete this first. Okay. And take a look at this. I'm using now this function called rnorm. Okay. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng rnorm? If you have questions about a particular function, we can seek the help of R. The help function of R is pretty robust. No? So maganda yung help function niya. So for example, here, okay, I can type this one here. Sorry. This one. Okay, you can type it here. Okay, question mark rnorm. That's seeking help about this function. I run this, control enter. Okay, you can see here now in the files, plots, and packages window, you have here help function, and sinasabi dito na, kasi ang tinatanong na we were asking, okay, itong rnorm, no? Or help with the rnorm. Okay, so what does this tell us? This rnorm comes from the stats package. Okay, the stats package is preloaded with R. So we don't have to load or install this package, which we're going to learn next meeting. Okay, so this has something to do with the normal distribution. And you can see here that there are 4 different types of function regarding this norm, either D norm, P norm, Q norm, and R norm. Okay, and the syntax of R norm is N stands for, if you take a look at this information about the function, N is a number of observations. Okay, which means that if I put here 100, then it will generate 100 observations. And it tells us that the other parameters needed to be defined is mean and then standard deviation. If we don't include this in the code, then it means that it will default to this, having a mean of 0 and then standard deviation is 1, which is a normal distribution. Okay, mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. But if we define the mean and the standard deviation, then it will generate normally distributed random numbers. Okay, so let's run this. I'm creating this object devs. Okay, you can name it any way you want, of course. And rnorm, sabi na nga dito on rnorm, yun, di ba? Ano i-generate na random numbers yung rnorm. Okay, so we have here the form, the density function of the normal distribution. Okay, so ito rnorm, no? For rnorm, see R and G for how to select the algorithm and for references. Wala masyado dyan. Okay. So our normal generated a set of random numbers. So let's try this. Okay. Notice it will print, no? Our norm, 100, and then we did not define the mean and the standard deviation. So it will default to a mean of 0 and standard deviation of 1, which is a normal uh, uh, normal distribution. Sorry, I forgot the word standard. So it's a standard normal distribution. Okay? So if I run this, control enter, pag kinontrol enter ko to, sa ilalim, i-generate dyan yung mga normal, yung mga random numbers. Okay. Can you please chat, what was your first number dito? Notice na we expect this to be to print, no? Kasi naglagay tayo ng parenthesis dito. Magpe-print talaga yan. Everyone, please, if you have your computers open, could you kindly, yan, si Ferdy, negative 0.5. Okay, let's see from the others who are following along. If you're following along, could you kindly chat what the number that you generated is? Yung kay Ferds, negative 0.5. Okay. Sure ka, Mark, na negative 0.5 din? Richard, negative 0.5 din? Wait. Nag-set that seed ba kayo?
Yes, sir.
O
Nag-set that
sabi ko,
seed po.
tanggalin muna natin eh. Sige, pakitanggal muna yung set that seed nyo, no? Tapos mag-run ulit kayo. Do not run set that seed muna, no? Tapos i-run nyo ulit yung devs. And let's try to see kung pare-pareho pa kayo. Yung set that seed na yan, which you actually answered already, no? That will make uniform the random numbers that we're generating. Okay? Ayan, kay Richard, 0.3329 na, iba na. How about kay Mark? Okay? Kay Ferds, ano na yung na-generate nyo? Kay Richard, it's a negative. Bakit kay Mark pareho na naman? Negative 33.29. Okay, siguro na nakaano pa rin yung set that seed, pareho. Ayan, kay Richard, iba na, 0.08. Okay, so what I'm trying to point out here is that it's a second run ni Richard. Okay. Pag rinan natin to, definitely, it will generate 100 random numbers, diba? Kasi 100 nilagay natin dito, with the mean equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, and then I had it placed in parentheses, and it printed the values. So we'll have different values. But if let's run this, no, set that seed, gawin natin 1, 2, 3. Yan. As long as we have the same random number generator, 1, 2, 3 na yan, or it depends kung ano gagamitin natin. Okay, so let's run set that seed 1, 2, 3. I'll run that first. Okay, and then I run this now, yung devs na to. Control enter. And I guarantee you that, ito yata yung rinan nyo kanina, no? Kaya negative, hindi, kasi iniba natin yung ano eh. 1, 2, 3 pala talaga kanina yun, no? And we should be getting negative 0.56. Okay, am I correct? Yeah, thank you. Negative 0.56. So, if we want to have a uniform number of randomly generated numbers, we can use a set that seed. Okay, whether it's normal distributed or Poisson distribution, binomial distribution, it doesn't matter. Pag gusto natin pareho yung random number generate depending on a type of distribution, then gamitin natin set that seed. Okay. Now take note, I generated this object devs. If I take a look at my environment, andito si devs. And devs is, sabi dito, numeric, 1 to 100. Okay? Ito yung laman niya. So what type of data is this? What's a data structure? It's numeric, 100 sila lahat, pare-pareho numeric yan. So therefore, the structure of devs is that this is a vector. it's a numeric vector. Okay? Numeric vector siya. And in fact, i-view nga natin to, view devs. Okay? So ang sinasabi dito, when we view devs, sabi, it's double, no? Which means it's taking on decimal places, no? 100 yung value niya, 100. And then, ito yung mga specific values na. Okay? So that's what's it telling us. Now, tignan natin. Ano yung mean ni devs? Ano yung average niya? We expect it to be more or less 0 kasi our norm like ginamit natin, we did not specify the mean, the standard deviation. Therefore, when we get the mean of devs, control enter, it gives us ilalim, yan, 0.09. Okay? So, medyo not really that close to 0. And the reason for that is ang konti lang kasi ng sample size natin. 100 lang. But if this was bigger, so for example, I'll just illustrate, you don't have to follow this. I'll make this 10,000 and I'll remove the tatanggalin ko yung pag-print. Okay, para hindi niya i-print. Okay, devs 10,000. Tingnan ko dito. So 10,000 na siya, no? Okay, it generated a vector of 10,000 numbers. And these numbers are normally distributed. If I get the mean of devs there, okay, so it's closer to 0. Yeah, negative 0.0031. As compared yung kanina, yung ano lang, 100 lang. Okay, and if I get the standard deviation of devs, okay, it's practically 1 because that's the default. Okay, and then if I get the summary of devs, right? So we know what the summary will give us. Summary function, it will give us the minimum first quartile, second quartile, the average, the third quartile, and the maximum. Okay, and then pag ganito, kasi pag ano to di ba? Let's see if the histogram, hist function will give us a histogram. So we expect this to be a normal curve. Kasi yan. Diba? So it follows a normal distribution curve. Okay. Again, pause ulit ako. Maybe you have some questions. Okay. Notice that I'm not really going slow on this, pero medyo, I hope tama lang yung pace ko. And once in a while, I'll be asking you if okay lang yung pace ko. I hope you don't mind because importante sa akin na na nagkakaintindihan tayo. Kasi baka nahihiya din kayo magtanong. Please don't be ashamed. No? Kasi, well, I know you won't be ashamed kasi master students na kayo. I know you'll be responsible for your learning. Okay, no questions? That's good. Okay, so far na we learned how to make use of R norm. We'll learn more about this function. Balikan natin. Si devs, of course, we know that ang class yan will be numeric. It's a vector. No? And a vector is supposed to be a class structure that contains one type of object. Okay? So yung R norm natin generated a numeric vector. Type of, anong lalabas dito? Double. Yan. Okay? For whatever reason, this has something to do with the space, the memory, no, na binibigay sa number. I'm not a computer science student, pero that ang alam ko yung double has something to do with the bits na binibigay dun sa space dun sa number. Okay? So okay. Why don't I do this? If I, for example, get the class of 5L. So we know this is integer, di ba? And then ito, type of 5L then. Okay? And if I run this, notice na parehong integer siya. Okay? Pero pag pag numeric, no, magkaiba yung class at saka type of. Okay? Like this one, just to review this. Yan, di ba? Yung isa numeric, yung class, yung type of double. Okay, so the distinction lies more in the bits na binibigay sa, yung mga spaces na binibigay dun sa yung number. Mas mababa siyempre pag integer. Okay? Now, when you talk of length, okay, length will give us the number of, let's say, elements inside that vector. Iba naman yung mode. Mode is similar to class. And then the structure, let's take a look at the structure str. Okay, so it tells us what type of object, what class is devs. So it's a numeric vector consisting of 10,000 elements. Okay, and these are just the first 5 elements. Okay, so let's go here. You can change the, you can change the distribution a bit, no, by defining the mean and the standard deviation. So here I'm just creating another object. I'm calling it devs1, and it's also 100 observations with a mean of 90 and then standard deviation equal to 5. So we can do that, and I can run all of this together at the same time, all together at the same time, run, and you'll notice that it will print here, ayan, yung mga results. Number 1, since naka-parenthesis to, naka-parenthesis yung devs1 natin, print niya. Okay, so it was printed here. So as I said a while ago, if you want an object to be printed automatically without you typing the name of the object and then enter to have it printed, you can just put it inside a parenthesis. Then the mean is, okay, 90.14, quite close to 90, and the standard deviation is 4.6, 4.6, not so close to 5. But again, if we increase this, then we'll have values quite close to your identified mean and standard deviation. Okay. All right, so this is the summary. Will give us the first, second, third, fourth quartile together with the average. All right, any questions so far? Paki-chat naman please kung may questions. Okay, so panay vectors pa lang tayo, no? So I hope clear sa atin to. We're looking at data structures. Vectors are a type of data structure which contains the same only one type, only one class of data. Okay, so here is another example. Okay, ito may difference tong ganito, no? If you're identifying that C, you're using the concatenator, the combine, and then you're identifying the elements, and then here you're using 1 up to 10. Tingnan natin difference sila, no? I-run natin ng, wait. Siguro for this one, I can, in the interest of time, Control C, I can put it in the chat box. Okay, if you want, you can copy this, if you want only. So introduction part lang naman to. If I run this, okay, all right. So of course, we expect that the printout will be the same. Ito, in-identify na 1, 2, 3, up to 10. Ito naman 1 up to 10. However, there's a distinction now between the class. So this is something that's, let's say, one of the quirks of R. Itong concatenate, it will give us a numeric vector, while just using the colon 1 to 10 will give us an integer. Okay, so medyo, so if you want to generate a numerical vector, you will have to identify. Okay, if you want an integral vector, then use the colon, no? And we know that the class, ang numeric, ang ano niyan, ang type of niyan, double. Ang integer, if the class is an integer, the type of will still be integer. Okay, And then the length of G will be the number of elements here. It's 10. Okay, next we go to integer vectors. Okay, madali lang to. We said that integer vectors, a vector is an object that contains, is a type of data structure that contains the same type or the same class. So ito, may L siya. So alam natin na ano to. This is an integer. So if I run the whole code siya, pinaprint ko yung 1L hanggang 5L, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, integer siya. Whether it's you're asking for the class or the type of. Okay, then here, okay. Here we know that this should be, pag dinify natin na C, numeric to, di ba? So let's run this, just this portion. Okay, so it's numeric. Now, since M is existing, di ba? Andito sa M, numeric siya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can I make this as an integer? Now to convert it into an integer, let's try this. So I'm creating this object n, and as that integer, okay, take note of the code, as that integer m. So will m, which is numeric, be converted into an integer? Let's test, let's see. Okay, control enter, and then true enough, okay? M, which is numeric, and then when we use the function as that integer, we were able to convert it into an integral type. Okay. How about this? Okay, here we have, these are character, it's a character vector. So we're creating this object called let, and let consists of A, B, C, D, E. And we know this is character by virtue of the quotations here, quotes. Okay, so I'm going to run this, control enter. And here is our vector. Okay, because we placed parentheses. Then let me get the class, class of let. And as expected, it's a character type of course, it's also character. Then is it possible to convert your character into an integer? Okay, let's try this. Let one as that integer. Okay. All right. So it says that we cannot. By coercion, it converted this one. 1, okay, 1, make A as 1, B as 2, for example, C as 3, D as 4, 5 as E. Okay, so we were not able to coerce that object character, that character vector into an integral vector. So there are rules about this, yung coercion, no? Okay, which okay, we'll skip this, no? Because we don't really need this, but I'm going to give you this file, and I'll leave you class to to decipher. Okay, this is the hierarchy of coercion. So from logical to integer, numeric, complex, and character. Okay, and there's a rule here. Okay, the lower ranking type will be coerced into the higher ranking type. All right, so let me skip this and go to the next one. Okay, character vectors. I've discussed this in greater detail. A while, as an example, a while ago. Now, will this work? I is equal to concatenate or combine Monday, Tuesday until Friday. If I run this, okay, error, because there's no such object as mon. Okay, so this is wrong because R was not able to recognize that as a character because there are no codes. So if you're if you're trying to create a character vector, then they should be in codes, just like this. So if I run this tree, type of, okay. So if it's character, even if I put class of object I, so what's the class of I? It's also character. All right. Now, what if we have this object called X and it's combined into, it has a combination of 1, which is numeric, 5.4 is numeric, true is logical, and hello is hello is what? Hello is character. Okay. So if I run this, okay, what do we have? Notice that X, okay, X is here. It's a character. Yeah. So what happened was 1 was converted into a character, 5.4 was converted into a character. So there was coercion that happened. True was converted into a character. Hello was converted into, of course, it's already character. So if you get the type of X, okay, it's a character. So whenever you have a quote unquote one-dimensional object here, combination, and it's mixed. You have a number, you have, let's add, for example, here, let's add 3 minus 2i. You have an imaginary number here. Okay, so are we missing another thing? Let's also put an integer, 10l. So we have an integer, we have an imaginary number, we have a logical value, we have 2 numerical value. Then let's see what happens if we print X and get the type of X. Okay, you notice that all the elements here were coerced into a character. So that means a while ago I showed that. That means that a logical value can be coerced into a character, but not vice versa. Okay, not vice versa. A character cannot be coerced into a imaginary number. Okay. All right. So logical. How about logical values? Logical vectors, I mean. So ito hindi pa pwede ito. Okay? Because this will not be recognized. Unless you want to create a character vector. So dapat may code yan. Okay? Kung character vector yan. Okay? But since what I want here is a logical vector. So hindi pa pwede ito mag-error ito. Control enter. Okay. Object false not found. Okay. But had I made this as a character, pwede. In quotes dapat. Okay. So I can run this. It will print into a character false and true. There you go. False and true. Now this one, on the other hand, si J dito, yan, pwede to. You have a logical vector here. Logical value, logical. I can even make this as combination of, say, true and true. So will this count as a logical value? Yes. I said a while ago that the word all caps false or true, that's considered as a logical value. Okay. Or their first letters capitalized. Okay, so if I run this, J, okay, you know, see that it's a logical vector. Same thing with J1. Said that this will be accepted as logical values. Okay, so it's almost time. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to post this canvas natin para i-review nyo, and then I'm going to post another video which I created before sa isang class, so that we dispense ourselves with having to discuss this in class. Now, it's important that you please watch the video kasi simple lang naman yun. It's all about, it's this one. I'm going to share the file and the video that I discussed before, even if it's for the undergrad. No? Kasi ito, rudimentary lang naman to eh. Ito yung pinag-uusapan natin dito, yung data structure. So, I have some more minutes. Okay, maybe I'll just, okay. Tapusin ko lang tong vector siya kasi ang structure type 2 is a list. Ang list naman, combination, no? So you write your list. This is numerical. This is character. This is logical. Pwede ba yan? Yes. If you impose that it's a list, pwede yan. Okay? Ang vector kasi, pag vector yan, hindi pwede. Magko-coerce si into making all of them as a character. We experienced it a while ago. Okay? It will coerce everything into a character. Kasi pwede niyang gawing character lahat. Lalagyan lang niya ng code yan. Pero, ito, yung hello, hindi niya pwedeng gawing number yan. Kaya hindi siya pwedeng maging numerical. Yung false pwede, no? Okay, kasi false can either be represented by 0 or 1. It can be converted into that, but not the character. All right, so quickly lang, okay, just to finish this, okay? Ito, so you know that this is a C1 to 10. This will be integer, di ba? So if I run this, integers to. Nagawa na natin kanina to, no? So naulit lang, sorry. Okay? Ito naman, this is numeric, no? But naulit ko to. So numeric siya kasi in-identify niya individually mga numbers. Okay, let me run this. And here you go, it's numeric. Now, di ba may numbers tayo? May numbers tayo na object. Here. We have numbers. Okay. Integer siya, di ba yung kanina, yung 1 to 10. Okay, can we perform operations out of that? Tingnan nyo to. Numbers plus 2. So, ano ba yung numbers natin? Diba? Yun, yung 1 to 10. Right? Numbers plus 2, pwede ba yan? If I run that, then yes, pwede. Kasi numbers pertain to a vector of integers. And you can add 2 to that. Numbers times square root of 10, pwede rin yun. You multiply each with the square root of 10. And we have numbers plus numbers 1. Si number 1 is numerical variable, numerical vector. Si numbers is a integer vector. Tama ba o baliktad? But anyway, if we add this, pwede ba yan? You add a numeric and an integer vector? Yes, pwede. Kasi kahit integer siya, numbers din yan. Right? Okay. Then ito na lang. Okay. We can also make use of the sequence. Okay. So ito, sequence, no? You're creating a vector from 1 up to 3 and then increment of 0.2. If I run this, you can see now it's incrementing by 0.2. So it starts with 1 and it has to end to 3 by 3, up to 3, and increments of 0.2. Or you can use this sequence from 1 up to 5, then there should be 4 elements. Okay, so 1 blank blank 4. So that's what you mean by this. Sequencing, length out is 4. So there you go. Okay. Dinivide lang niya yung ano into 4 spaces. Okay, to generate that. All right. Okay, so last thing, ito na lang. So this one, you have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and then i-print natin si Q. Okay, so this is our vector, no? -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. That's our vector. And then notice this one, Q, and then this is to subset, no? Q2 less than 0. What does that mean? So ang sinasabi dito, si Q2 2, yung second element ni Q, which is this one. Okay? Tinatanong tayo, less than 0 ba siya? Okay. Let's ano this. Anong answer dun? Okay, what happened here? Q bracket 2 and then less than 0. Okay, and then mali ito. Dapat hindi ko muna i-print si Q. Okay, ito muna, no? Q2 less than 0. Okay, what happened? Ano yung answer yan? Wait, merong okay. Ano sabi dito? Okay, ang sinasabi dito, class, so si Q, yung second element niya, ang i-assign natin 0 doon, ba? So this is, sorry ang sinabi ko kanina less than, apologies. Assignment operator to. So what we're saying is that Q, yung second niya, second element, okay, Q second element will be assigned to 0. So if I print Q, okay, -3, yung second element, which is -2, ginawa niyang 0. Okay, ganun lang naman yun. Okay? All right, so, last thing before, to end na talaga to, no? Before we go to lists. And then, ipopost ko na lang yung video and then please continue watching na lang so that yung iba dito, up to data frames, okay? Mauubusin kasi tayo ng oras kung mag-aano pa tayo ng continuation nito eh. So unless you have questions na lang, no, feel free to ask me questions if something in the latter part of the video or in the discussion is not clear. So we have here, we're creating this vector, character vector days. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin ng subset? Okay, we run that days. And then here, days 1. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung first element ni days. Okay, which is a Monday. Oh, no audio? Wala ba akong audio, class? Meron ba? Okay. Siguro ikaw lang, Giselle, no? Okay, so ito class, subsetting lang to, yung brackets na ganito, no? Days 4, ibig sabihin yung fourth element. So that will be a Thursday. Yeah. First, second, third, fourth, Thursday yun. Ito naman days, combine natin, naka-bracket siya, no? Naka-bracket siya. Naka-brackets, C1, 3, 4. Ibig sabihin, the first, the third, and the fourth, sila lang yung isa subset. Okay, this square brackets here means subset. If I run this, okay, it will just generate Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. If, for example, I create this object C, alt minus, okay, ito yung shortcut nga pala ng assignment operator, alt, then minus. Okay, here, days, ito yon, di ba? Subset natin sa first, si third, at saka si fourth, and then I'm assigning it to Z. Object Z, if I run this, okay, so meron na tayong Z object dito sa environment natin, Z, and it contains Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a vector, character vector. Okay, so itong days 1 to 4, 1 to 4 lang yan. And then days, itong days 1 to 4, sabay natin to, no? Days 1 to 4 means first, second, third, fourth. Days -5 means everything except the fifth one. -5, not the fifth one. So pareho lang siya. Okay? All right. So let me stop there. Okay, the next topic here is list, which I mentioned to you. So kindly go over this. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to PM me. Okay? So mas maganda kung ang communication natin class through PM tayo, no? Okay, let me stop recording first.